All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Jason Brown here. Today, we're talking about salary negotiation tips with my very special guest, Miss Davia Rose Lassiter. Now, Davia is the founder and owner of the Lassiter firm, which helps people to advance their excellence in providing services in resume design, LinkedIn profiles, and cover letters. Davia, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
This is Davia. This is I'm so glad that you joined me today to talk about this, because what's going on in the job market right now is something that I don't think any of us has ever seen in our lifetimes, with this the great resignation, they're calling it in the media. It's just really a fascinating situation that's developing in our country. And I'm so thankful for you to come and share some of your stories on how to better negotiate your salary. Really is the topic today, and really just knowing your worth and knowing your value in the job market. So let's dive right into it. Davia, give us a little overview on your working experiences over the last several years.
Yes, so my work experiences have varied significantly. As you mentioned, the Great Resignation, I'm part of that group and I have more to say about that. But I definitely started out in a traditional setting, and now I am more of an entrepreneur these days. So I started my career officially in 2007, had my first full-time, not quite salary yet, but full-time job that eventually evolved into a salary position. But I worked in media. So I was in media for about 5.5 years. And then I transitioned to public relations and marketing, where I was there for, when I say there, Kennesaw State University. I was at KSU for about 6 years, a little over 6 years, actually. And then I transitioned to state government, where I was a marketing and communications director for about 2.5 years. And so for a really long time, for more than a decade, again, very much in traditional roles. You go in the office 5 days a week, 9 to 5. Like I said, eventually salary, benefited, just kind of, what we think of as a secure place to work. But the pandemic changed things. And now, like I said, I'm more of an entrepreneur. I have taken on contract work. And so right now, I'm the senior communications coordinator for the Black Cross, and we focus on health equity in marginalized communities that have been affected by COVID-19. And so I also, as you shared, am the owner of the Lassiter firm. I am an adjunct instructor at University of West Georgia, and next semester I will also be teaching at Georgia State University, where I'm working on my PhD. And I also have a personal brand at imdrlassiter.com that I am continuing to grow. So again, from very traditional to more of an entrepreneurial focus, my work experience has varied, but I'm just here for the journey and I'm enjoying it.
Wow, Davia, that is so much interesting and diverse experience that you've had. And also, it sounds like you've got a lot of things going on simultaneously. So not sure how you're managing that, but it's very fascinating to learn from all of your experiences. So tell us, since you've had such a just a diversity of roles and experiences, that kind of leads right into my next question is let's discuss kind of the pros and cons of working an hourly job versus a salary job. And I know you've done a lot of this, you've been on both sides of this.
I have. So with an hourly job, it's typically thought of as shift work. And so, you have your time that you come in, clock in, you leave, you clock out. The pros of that, I would say you are eligible for overtime, which is time and a half. And so I remember in my first job in a newspaper, when I started, I was an hourly employee. And I think one time I had like 19 hours of overtime. And that was the first time I saw a comma in my check. And so some people, if you like to work and work, overtime can be a perk. But, the downside of that is that you are working so many extra hours. And so that's time away from, your own self-care, from your family, friends, loved ones. And also another downside to this hourly job is that if there is not work for you to do, then they can easily say, well, you don't need to come in today. And so that's money that you're earning. Whereas when you're salaried, from the dollar sign down to the penny, you're getting paid the exact same each time you get paid, whether it's once a month or twice a month. And I've been in both of those situations. I would say a perk to a salaried position is that there is a bit of a sense of more security as compared to an hourly role. And it's also really helpful for budgeting because you can do long-term budgeting because again, you know exactly how much money you're getting every month. You also get benefits, which is nice. There's no overtime. So whether you work a 40-hour week, a 20-hour week, or an 80-hour week, your check's the same. And then I will say when it comes to contract work, you can either have the option of an hourly fee or a project fee. So a project fee is more like salary. Again, you may have a certain expectation provided by your employer about how much you should work each week. But again, regardless of whether you work that time more or less, your rate is the same. And so there are a lot of options and variations regarding how you get paid.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, definitely a lot of pros and cons, and it's probably just it's almost like, you know, what's best for that individual might, you know, each person's different, each person's life situation is different. So they would have to weigh all of that out, the pros versus the cons, and what best suits, you know, what their goals are for employment. That's a
Right.
very good overview there for sure. Now
And
let's, oh, go
I
ahead.
would
Go
like
ahead.
to add, if it's okay,
Yeah.
regardless of how you get paid, how often, whether it's salaried, hourly, contract, make sure that you save because it definitely gives you a lot more flexibility in choosing what you can do. So with me working for so many years and saving, I was able to step away from a full-time salary benefited position and take on contract work because I had essentially a stash put away for a rainy day.
That's
So
good.
regardless of how much you may, save something because it will help you.
Yeah.
If you're in a position to where you quit a job or you get laid off or whatever the situation is. So always have some money set to the side.
That's excellent advice. And you always hear financial experts like Dave Ramsey or even Clark Howard. Well, most of them are going to recommend you have 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Obviously, the more you have, the better. So if you had, say, you have 6 months of living expenses saved up, that's going to give you that margin or that cushion of time to allow you to make that decision. Like, hey, you know, I would like to branch out and maybe start my own business or try to do some entrepreneurial work or try to do freelance or contract work. That's going to give you that opportunity to do that where you might have to start out taking less money.
Yes.
And if you don't have that savings or that cushion or, you know, whatever you want to call it, an emergency fund,
Mhm.
then you can't really do that, you know, without that. So that's really, really good. I'm glad you mentioned that. So that's good for people to know if they want to try to do that. Now let's dive into your story. You told me this last time we spoke, and I was really, it was a really good story that something happened to you in a previous job, and I want you to share it again. So tell us the story of what you learned regarding salary negotiation from a previous interviewing experience. This is a really good, well, what should I say? A cautionary tale. Let's call this a cautionary tale for everybody to learn from.
Yes. And I will say, even before this experience, I never negotiated a salary, mainly because it wasn't something that was encouraged. And I just did not have information about it. And so in my mind, I kind of just said to myself, well, I could try to negotiate my salary, but I'm not going to get what I want. So let me just take what I'm given. Don't do that. That is the wrong mindset to have. And so also in the first 11 and a half, 12 years of me working full time, I was promoted. I was promoted a lot. And so my first job, 5.5 years, I was promoted twice. Second job, a little over 6 years, I was promoted twice. So in all of that time, I had 6 positions and my salary would increase either through those promotions or through merit raises or both. And so, you know, I was very blessed to be in that position. But again, even because of that, I never thought about negotiating my salary because I was used to getting promotions and raises. However, after I left the university, I transitioned to state government. And when I saw the job posting, I thought I could do this job. And I was looking for a bit of a change anyway. And so I said, well, let me just go for it. And the salary range was pretty significant. And so even the low end was more money, but the high end was about 35,000 more than what I was making. And of course, I'm thinking, well, I have these awards and I have a proven track record. I have my master's. I've had my master's for years at this point. I really want that top range. It was almost $100,000. I really want that top range, but I got cold feet. And so I went through the interview processes, plural, and I felt really good about it. And I got the offer the afternoon of the day that I interviewed the second time with, the executive leadership team. I got an offer call that afternoon. And so what they offered me was about 12,000 more than what I was making. And I knew to not accept it immediately. Just from at this point, having been working for so long, I said, well, let me just try. And so I called a few people and got their advice. One was, one of my friends said, well, if you ask for at least 10%, they'll meet you halfway. Not terrible advice, but I wanted that top salary. And so someone else said, well, ask for it. And again, I got the cold feet. And so I wound up negotiating a little more money, about 2,000 more, but I wasn't even close to that top salary. And there were some red flags that I unfortunately ignored. I had asked about professional development, meaning, are they going to pay tuition? If I wanted extra training, would they pay for that? Because that's something a job should do. That's something that helps to retain employees because you're investing in their success. And the response was, it just depends. So I'm thinking, I'm going to be confident. I'm thinking, well, if I get the job and I do, good work, which I know that I will, then they'll take care of that. That didn't happen. And another thing is that as I was negotiating for more money, I mentioned some of the perks that I had at my previous job that I would be losing. And I wanted to be able to compensate for that. And one of those was a gym membership that was, at Kennesaw State. And I was told I could take the stairs to the third floor.
What's on the third floor? Is there a gym on the third
My
floor?
office. No, my office. I could take the stairs.
Okay. They were being sarcastic. Yeah, you can just get exercise by taking the staircase to your office. Okay.
So that was another red flag. And although it was more money, it really wasn't what I was worth. But I wanted to change. And I said, well, I will just get, I'll get raises. And I took the job. Now it's bittersweet to talk about because I had like a fantastic team. I was able to contribute significantly to the marketing and communications, but I never got a raise. A raise likely would not have happened. And there were other situations that brought me to the decision that I wanted to resign. So I was there for only 2.5 years, and that is short for me. I plan on being there much longer, but it just goes to show that I really should have walked away or asked for more money from the beginning, because it's kind of like when you're buying a car. The advice I've always been told is they want to sell you the car. They want your business.
Yep.
So if you get up and walk away, they're absolutely going to try everything possible to get you to stay. So I would encourage anyone, it's very important to treat any type of job offer like you're buying a car. They want you. And if you're already employed as well, you really don't need another job. I wasn't in a position where I thought I was going to get let go or laid off. I just wanted to do something different. So I did not leverage my power. So I would just encourage anyone else to leverage your power. You want the car, they're not offering what you want, you can walk away. You get a job offer, they're not offering what you want, your worth, and you've done the research, and they're not really showing you the numbers. It's like Jerry Maguire, show me the money. If they're not showing you the money, if they're not really valuing you, you can always walk away. So know your worth, use your power, and leverage it.
So that's a powerful story, Davia, but let's talk a little bit now. One other aspect of the story I think that we should talk about is, I believe you said it was a government job, right? So these are public salaries, right?
Yes.
So did you have the opportunity to research, what the salaries are at that place of employment to see if you were getting a fair offer? Is that something that you were able to do?
That is another lesson. I did not do that. I went to other resources like salary.com and indeed.com, Glassdoor. They're wonderful resources. But the one thing I did not think about is exactly what you said. Salaries are public. If anyone wants to Google my name, you can see how much money I made when I worked for state government, as well as when I was working for Kennesaw. And technically, I still work for the state because I work for USG as an instructor. So my money, it is public. How much money I've made with these organizations is public, but it's not something that I thought of until after I resigned. And I think because of, the pandemic and the Great Resignation, which I'm in that club, it just made me think about, well, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? And so I actually researched salaries. And I learned that my predecessor, well, I don't know this person, but I did have a name. I learned that they were offered 15,000 more, or excuse me, they were making $15,000 more than what I was even offered. And again, not knowing this person, just looking at the numbers and knowing that this person was in this same position, it just made me question, well, why was I lowballed? Why was I
Right.
offered such a lower salary when my education and my record, my professional reputation, my the proof of my value, when it was all there out in the open? So another cautionary tale: get on the Google.
Right.
Google names, Google state salaries, because it's public for a reason. It is there as a resource. It is about being transparent. So again, other websites, salary.com, again, those are fantastic resources. But take it a step further and find out if that salary of your predecessor or others, in similar roles in state government, at universities, any type of state job, see if you can find it, because it usually is public, and that gives you even more bargaining power to, again, earn what you're worth.
That is great advice. Obviously, especially for anybody that is working on the public side, the public sector, or interviewing for a public sector job. These jobs are all public. All the salaries are public. Like you said, just go to the internet. You can look up any of these salaries. So make sure that you do your due diligence, do your research, and don't get lowballed, because that's what happened to you. While it is terribly unfortunate, but it's such a learning experience to share with everybody else who might be looking to make a job change right now during this interesting economic climate we're living in. But this is such good advice to know what you're worth, and to know what they were paying the previous person. Hey, you were paying this person this much. Why are you offering me this much less to do the exact same job? So that's very, very good information, Davia. So let's move on. So the next question I have for you is, discuss your thoughts and experience with the wage gap issue and what actions can be taken to correct this moving forward. Now, I know that's a big, big question and a big issue, and we're not going to solve this in 5 minutes on this conversation, but this is something that I know that you've dealt with as a female professional in corporate America, in the workforce. This is something that is a serious issue that's been going on for a long time, right? It's not, I don't think it's an easy fix, but what are some of your thoughts on the whole situation?
I feel it's important to explain the wage gap so that people really get a comprehensive understanding. And so it really is based in systemic inequality. And so if we want to talk numbers, for every dollar a white male makes, a white woman makes 77 cents on that dollar. A Black woman makes 64 cents on that dollar, and a Hispanic woman makes 56 cents on that dollar. And it goes on, it gets lower depending on certain racial ethnicities. And so it's very unfortunate. But if we look at gender alone, men tend to get offers and raises based on their potential. And this isn't to be making stuff up. You can Google it.
Right, right.
My area of research, like I'm really stating facts. Men get raises based on just gender alone, and really just expectations of they're going to do a good job. Oh, they don't have the right credentials. That's okay. They're going to do a good job. But women get discriminated against because of just basic gender discrimination and inequality, because they may think, well, what if she has a baby? Well, then she's not going to be able to do as much work. Or if she already has children,
Right.
well, she's not going to be as valuable. And
Right.
so I would say, knowing that information coupled with doing the research, you can really determine, is this an offer that I need to accept? Is this an offer that I need to negotiate more? And not just money. Think about other types of benefits that come with wherever you're working. or is it something that I need to walk away from? But you always have options. I always encourage people to use their agency, meaning make the decision for yourself. Again, think about the used car. You can go to another car lot. You know, if you have the right credit score and you meet the income requirements, down payment if you choose to do that, you can always choose something else. So again, just reclaim your power and come armed with the research. And then if someone is in a position of hiring, ask yourself, am I making the right offer to this qualified candidate? So on both sides, whether it's the employer or the potential employee, knowing about the wage gap could really help to make a more equitable work environment.
Very good. Yeah, that's very good information. And those statistics that you shared were very shocking. I mean, I knew of some of those, but wow, it's just yeah, I don't even know how to respond to that. It's very unfortunate and unsettling to hear those types of statistics. And you know that this is, like I said, this has been going on for a long, long time. This wage
Definitely.
gap issue, and you know, it's something that I know a lot of people like yourself are really, you know, champions for, you know, correcting this and helping people to be paid fairly, you know, based on their skill set level, based on their talent, not based on, you know, like you said, potential. Or when you said that, that made me think of pro athletes. A lot of pro athletes are based, you know, they get these big contracts based solely on potential. Yeah, you know, that it's, you know, I'm a big sports guy. So, you know, you might have a 19-year-old kid get drafted in the first round of the draft and he just got a $40 million. Well, they're not paying him on what he did in high school. They're
Right.
paying him on what they think he can do for
Mhm.
that. That's pure potential. So, so that goes on big, you know, big time in the pro athlete world, for sure. But that's real interesting stuff right there, Davia. Now let's talk a little more about just, you know, we're going to wrap up a little bit here. So final thoughts, any further tips or advice that you want to share? You know, just really, you know, we're recording this toward the end of 2021, so we're still in the pandemic. We're, like we said, we're talking about this great resignation, and you know, companies are losing. You know, I know companies that have lost 40% of their staff to that. They're just quitting. I don't know if they're taking other jobs or what, you know, I don't know what's going on. It's really astonishing to see what's happening in corporate America right now. So just any other final thoughts or tips that you might have on, you know, salary negotiation or interviewing tips, or if someone might be on the fence of, hey, you know, should I make the leap? Should I look for another job? Anything you want to share on any of those?
I will say when it comes to negotiating a salary, always ask. I share my story because I want to be very transparent about my journey, but I also want to teach others not to, again, shortchange yourself. Don't lowball yourself, pretty much. Do the research, get on the Google. And like we share, you know, there's so much information out there that is public, but also be confident, know your worth. And both of those go hand in hand. And I kind of want to circle back briefly
Yeah,
to the wage gap. One thing I wanted to mention is that, like me not asking, that is unfortunately something that women, and again, this statistically, women tend not to ask because of
right.
this fear
That's
of
true.
rejection or feeling like, well, they're not going to give it to me, or they'll just give it to this guy over here. So in a way, just like I held myself back, women tend to hold themselves back. Not all, but you know, if you compare how men approach salaries and finances and women, there are some differences. So I would encourage all women, you know, arm yourself with the knowledge about the wage gap. Arm yourself with the knowledge of what you can get from researching other salaries, and go in knowing that you really make the final decision. You have the power over your career, over your salaries, and just to really just be confident and own your worth. So just don't leave any money on the table. Pretty much, don't.
Excellent.
You deserve all the money because this is what you worked for.
That's right.
um
And
and just, you know, empower yourself with the knowledge. You know, with me being part of the great resignation, and like you said, 40% or companies are losing 40% of their workforce, it just goes to show that it goes beyond what we earn. It's important because we all have bills to pay and we like nice things and we want to pay for those too. But it goes beyond the money and it's more about your holistic experience when it comes to benefits, when it comes to other types of perks, when it comes to how you work and really quality of life. No salary is really worth a detriment to your happiness and again your quality of life. And so the money is important, but I would again encourage everyone to think about everything that you want. A job, a career, like it's definitely a means to an end, but think about how you want to live your life and the life that you want for yourself and manifest that, whether it's with negotiating the salary that you deserve or walking away, forging your own path. Just do what makes you happy, but still get paid and get paid what you're worth.
Yeah, that's so well said, Davia. And I've always told people, uh, what's the worst that can say? No. You always ask. Always ask.
Right.
The worst
Right.
thing that could possibly happen is they say no.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe you feel you get rejected or you feel a little upset or whatever, but that's okay. I mean, at least you tried, at least you asked, at least you put yourself out there, at least you went for it. So you won't have
Yes.
any regret. All you have to do is ask, then you won't have any regret. And then, hey, if it's not the right fit, there's always another opportunity. So,
Yes. I will say, if you're someone who is a bit of a planner
mhm,
and, like you said, you're following all of the steps, you will land on your feet.
right,
Someone told me that, so I'm paying that forward because for me, type A queen over here, who likes structure and things in the box, right? For me to walk away from a stable situation was huge.
right,
But I landed on my feet. And
right.
so again, I just encourage everyone that, do what you need to do, make the best decision for yourself, even if it's a little uncomfortable, but you will land on your feet guaranteed.
Very well said. Now, Davia, as we wrap up today, I want to thank you so much for your time, sharing all those very, very informal and informational stories that help us learn from what you've experienced. And as anybody who might be looking for a job or looking to try to get a raise or a salary negotiation. But as we wrap up, let everybody know how they can connect with you, because I know that you help people with resumes and LinkedIn profiles, and you have the Lassiter firm that is there to help people in this job world. So let people know the best way they can reach out to you if you have a website or whatever you want to share.
Absolutely. So you can find me at thelassiterfirm.com. And on social, we are at the Lassiter Firm LLC. Or if you are interested in more of lifestyle type of things, in addition to career readiness, you can find me at imdrlassiter.com. And on social media, I am Dr. Lassiter as well.
Awesome. Well, I hope people reach out to you, and I hope your story helps others as well. I know I learned a lot just from listening to you share your stories in the job market. So I want to thank you so much once again. Thank you to my special guest, Ms. Davia Rose Lasser, for joining us today. I am Jason Brown saying thank you so much for watching. And remember my favorite saying, it's not the amount of money you make, but the margin that matters the most. See you next time.